My sister always got everything while I was treated like I didn't exist, but after our parents died, I found the letters she hid for years and discovered the painful truth about why she took the blame for my mistakes. Would you like another one with a different theme? Growing up, I was always the shadow, the overlooked, the quiet echo behind my sister Emily's spotlight. My name is Lauren, and if you ask my parents, they'd probably pause for a second before remembering I even existed. Emily was the golden child, straight A student, captain of the volleyball team, voted most likely to succeed in her senior yearbook. She had this magnetic energy that pulled everyone in, teachers, friends, even strangers. Me? I was the one taking her pictures, clapping in the background, cleaning up after the celebrations she earned. When we were kids, it started small. Emily got the new clothes. I got her hand me downs. She got piano lessons. I got a cheap keyboard and YouTube tutorials. My mom used to say, Lauren doesn't mind, she's low maintenance. But even at age 10, I understood what that really meant. I wasn't worth the investment. The hardest part wasn't even the neglect, it was the way they praised her for everything, even things I did. When I was 13, I painted a mural in the school art hallway. I spent weeks on it, pouring my soul into every brushstroke. When it was featured in the local paper, the principal gave credit to Emily, assuming she was the artist. I waited for her to correct it. She didn't. I didn't ask for the attention, she told me later. But I wasn't going to embarrass the principal either. That was Emily, charming, diplomatic, always so perfect that even her lies sounded noble. I spent years resenting her. And more than that, I resented our parents for the way they worshipped her like some kind of flawless goddess. I always thought maybe if I messed up enough, they'd finally notice me. So I did. I snuck out, got caught shoplifting candy once, skipped school, wrote snarky things about our teachers online. Nothing criminal, but just enough to stir trouble. Still, I never got punished, not really, because somehow, every time, Emily took the fall. She'd say it was her. She'd make up some excuse, and they'd believe her. Every time. It made no sense. She had everything. Why was she covering for me? Was she just trying to make herself look even more perfect? Or was she using it to keep me small? Keep me as the screw up? I hated her for it. And I hated myself even more for always being the second choice. Then came the accident. Mom and Dad were on their way to visit Emily at college when their car slid off an icy road. The news shattered me. And Emily. She looked like a ghost at the funeral. We were all we had left. But I couldn't even look at her without thinking, you always got their love. Now you get their grief too. What I didn't know then, what I couldn't have imagined, was that everything I believed about my sister, about our family, was about to be torn apart. And the truth was nothing like the story I told myself all these years. After the funeral, everything moved in slow motion. The house felt colder without Mom humming while she cooked or Dad rustling the newspaper on the porch. The silence was unbearable. Emily and I had to clean out the house together. 2 weeks after the funeral, we stood in our childhood living room, surrounded by cardboard boxes, bubble wrap, and 1,000 memories we weren't ready to face. I'll handle Mom's closet, Emily said gently. You don't have to, but I wanted to. Maybe out of guilt, maybe to prove something. I wasn't sure. It was when I started packing up Dad's old desk in the attic that I found the letters. They were in a showbox tucked behind stacks of outdated tax forms. Yellowed envelopes, all addressed to me, all in Emily's handwriting. My hands shook as I opened the first one. Dear Lauren, if you're reading this, you probably hate me. I wouldn't blame you. I never told you what I should have years ago. I let you believe things that weren't true because I thought I was protecting you. But I realize now that I may have only made things worse. Mom and Dad never meant to push you aside. They just didn't know how to love in two directions at once. And when you started acting out, they came to me. They begged me to help keep you on the right path. That's why I took the blame. Every time. I froze. My heart raced. She chose to take the fall. I kept reading. When you got caught skipping school in 8th grade, Mom was furious. She said she couldn't deal with it. She was too busy with Dad's job loss, with Grandma's cancer. I told her it was my idea. I told her I dared you. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought if I carried your mistakes, maybe you'd feel safer. Maybe they'd ease up on you. But I never realized what it looked like from your side. I sank to the floor. Tears blurred the ink as I read letter after letter, each one cataloging a moment I had thought was about her shining and me fading. But they were really about her shielding me. She hadn't stolen my credit. She hadn't kept me in the shadows. She'd been standing between me and the storm the whole time, and I'd spent years hating her for it. I don't know how long I sat there in the attic, surrounded by letters that were never meant to be found like this. Letters that peeled back the layers of the story I told myself since I was a kid, the story that I was unloved, unwanted, forgotten. The story that my sister always got everything, while I was left with nothing. But these letters, they shattered that narrative into pieces. Each envelope revealed more than the last. Emily hadn't just taken the blame for my mistakes, she'd begged our parents to go easier on me. She'd fought for me in ways I never knew. One letter hit the hardest. It was dated the day after I ran away for a night when I was 15. I'd skipped out after a huge fight with Mom about some party I wasn't allowed to go to. I ended up crashing at a friend's house and came home the next morning to Mom's silent treatment and Dad's disappointment. But Emily, she took the heat. Again. Dear Lauren, I stayed up all night waiting for you. I told Mom I was the one who gave you the party address. I even said I stole her credit card to get you an Uber back when your phone died. She was angrier than I'd ever seen her. But I'd rather her be angry at me than at you. You were hurting. I saw it. I know you think I'm trying to be perfect all the time, but the truth is, I've never cared about being perfect. I just wanted to make things easier for you. I figured if I was the good one, maybe they'd have more patience for you when you weren't. But I never thought it'd make you feel invisible. I never wanted that. That line gutted me. All my life, I thought Emily lived in a world of praise and approval while I drowned in neglect. But the truth was far more complicated. She chose the role of the golden child so I could survive being the struggling one. And I hated her for it. She let me hate her. She let me paint her as the villain while she quietly carried the weight of my hurt behind the scenes. I sat there, reading letter after letter, each one like a small funeral for the bitterness I'd been clinging to. Grief for our parents, grief for the years wasted in silence, and grief for the relationship I could have had with Emily if I had just asked. Later that night, I confronted her. We were in the kitchen, sipping leftover funeral coffee, the house still heavy with absence. I slid the letters onto the counter between us. I found them, I said. Emily stared at the envelopes. Her face didn't even flinch. You weren't supposed to, she said softly. Why? My voice cracked. Why didn't you tell me the truth? Why didn't you ever tell me what you were doing for me? She didn't look up at first. Her fingers traced the rim of her coffee mug. Then she finally spoke. Because you needed someone to blame, and I'd rather it be me than Mom or Dad. I blinked. She looked up then, tears in her eyes, but her voice steady. They failed you, Lauren, in ways they never fully admitted. They shouldn't have made me the messenger or the shield or the fixer. But they did, and I played along because I thought, maybe if I held it together, you wouldn't fall apart. I thought you were trying to be better than me, I said, my voice barely a whisper. I was trying to save you, she replied. We both broke then. Years of unspoken pain, resentment, confusion, all of it spilled out that night in one long, messy conversation that stretched until sunrise. We cried for our parents, for each other, for the sisters we could have been if we just understood earlier. But more than anything, we forgave, or at least, we started to. The days after that night were strange. It was like stepping into a version of my life that had always existed behind a locked door and finally finding the key. Emily and I began talking more. Not just the polite, distant conversations we used to have, but real talks. About our childhood. About the mistakes our parents made. about how we both lived under the same roof, but had completely different experiences. She told me how much pressure she felt growing up, how being the perfect daughter wasn't something she wanted, but something she was assigned. Our parents leaned on her emotionally. They confided in her about things they never shared with me. It made her feel responsible for everything, especially me. I was scared all the time, she admitted one morning as we went through more of our parents' things. Scared if I didn't keep it together, everything would fall apart. You. You were wild and free and so full of fire. And I was jealous of that, even while I was cleaning up the messes. It felt like whiplash. My whole life I'd envied her. But she'd envied me too? I was wild because no one cared enough to stop me, I said. That's not true, she replied. I cared. Always. We found photo albums tucked deep in Mom's closet, baby pictures, birthday parties, and hidden among them were drawings I'd made in elementary school, ones I thought had disappeared. But Emily had kept them. She'd saved birthday cards I made for her, little notes, even a crumpled poem I once wrote in middle school about being invisible. She'd kept all of it. You weren't invisible, she said, handing me that poem. You just didn't know someone was looking. That broke me all over again. We began the process of donating our parents' things, splitting up what was meaningful, and selling what wasn't. It was a slow, emotional process, but something about doing it together made it bearable. One day, in a dusty box in the garage, I found an old camcorder. We spent hours watching the tapes, birthday parties, school concerts, random family dinners. And in everyone, I noticed something I hadn't before. Emily looking at me. Not the camera, not mom or dad, but me. Always watching, always aware, even when no one else was. It's strange how you can live your whole life next to someone and still never really know them. For so long, I thought I knew Emily. I thought she was this pristine, perfect girl who got everything handed to her. But now I see her clearly, for the first time in my life. She wasn't perfect. She was just good at surviving in a way I wasn't. Where I lashed out, she folded in. Where I craved attention, she settled for silence. And where I believed she was my rival, she was actually my protector. A few months after we finished cleaning out the house, I moved into a small apartment not far from where Emily lived. We started having dinner together once a week, nothing fancy, just takeout and whatever show we felt like watching. But it became our ritual. Something solid, something ours. One night, after a long day, she brought over a folder filled with old letters, ones I hadn't seen yet. She'd kept them locked away in her dorm room during college. They were letters to herself, written during some of the darkest periods in our lives. One from the night our parents forgot my 12th birthday entirely. I had thrown a fit, screamed, cried, and Emily had gone to the store and bought me a cupcake with her own money. You did the right thing, she wrote to herself. She was hurting. She needed someone to show up, even if she never knows it was you. Another from the night I told her I hated her. I was 17, angry, and broken. She had just covered for me, again, and I told her she was a fake. A manipulative narcissist who loved watching me fail. Let her say it, she wrote. If it helps her feel seen, let her scream. One day, maybe she'll understand. And the most gut-wrenching one was written after Mom and Dad died. They're gone now. I'm not ready. And I don't know how to carry all of this by myself anymore. I miss them. But I miss her more. The little sister who used to follow me around before the world made her feel unwanted. I don't want to be the strong one anymore. I just want her back. I held that letter to my chest for a long time. I didn't say anything. I just pulled her into a hug and cried. Not just for the past, but for the years we still had ahead of us. Years we could finally build something real on the ashes of what was broken. The healing didn't happen overnight. We still argued. We still stumbled over old wounds that hadn't fully closed. But for the first time, we were honest. We apologized. We saw each other. And slowly, the bitterness faded. It was replaced with something better, understanding, respect. and the kind of love that grows deeper once the truth has been spoken out loud. Now, when I look back on our childhood, I don't just see the unfairness. I see a girl who sacrificed quietly, who held up the sky while I broke windows. I see a sister who was always in my corner, even when I couldn't see it. And I carry those letters with me, not just in a box, but in my heart. Because the truth is, my sister didn't get everything. She gave everything. She gave up being understood so I could be forgiven. She gave up being seen so I could find my way back from being lost. And in the end, she didn't do it to be perfect. She did it because she loved me. Now, finally, I can say it back, with no resentment in my voice, no anger in my chest. I love you too, Emily. I always did. I just didn't know how to show it. And now, finally, I do.